If I was dead when they arrived, Peter would pick up the GPS and he'd look at it and think, oh my God, he was alive at, I don't know, 11:40. And it's now 12 o'clock, and if only we'd... And he'd have been left with this eternal guilt. And I almost wanted to destroy the GPS at that point.
Norman to Peter, can you read me? Over. Norman to Peter, can you read me? Over.
Receiving.
There's nothing from up here. Even an elephant can merge into this landscape. We're going to try another area.
On a hunch, Norman decides to go back and check along the beginning of the route that Greg would have taken. Nearly 24 hours has passed, and Greg's body is desperate for water.
I managed to grab a piece of the broken windscreen. I had this mad idea to see if it would collect moisture. And then I heard this plane. And when I heard the plane get louder and louder, I thought, right. I was going to try to see if I could get something out of that radio. Basically, it was all I had left that I could think of. Even if it gives the weakest signal, it's worth a try. And I gave it all I'd got. I remember it now.
Mayday. This is Zulu Mike Echo Bravo calling Mayday.
And then my position is
20 miles east-northeast, Cinematella. Mayday.
I thought I heard the plane get louder. And I thought, it's worked. And I gave myself almost an elated sort of feeling. But that's because that's what I wanted to hear. I knew I was lying to myself. Mentally, I had to stay with it. Because if you get into depression, that's it, the game's over.
Not knowing whether he's imagining the search plane or if it's really there, Greg grabs a piece of his wreckage, one of the struts, hoping it will reflect the light and be seen by the plane above.
Mayday, all search parties. We've located the wreckage 40 miles south of the main search area. No sign of Greg.
I was trying to keep up the dream that they had really seen me. But I realized I had to keep telling myself this lie. Because I did know that I was reaching the point of no return. If they didn't find me soon, I was going.
We can't land, I repeat, we can't land, we're gonna have to go by road. Meet back at the base camp immediately. I repeat, meet back at the base camp immediately.
I felt numb. I wanted to see, what was there. I wanted to see Greg. I wanted to just get to the site.
He's here, south of the road. The runner's obviously moved.
Okay, let's move it.
Peter, I didn't see any sign of life. I don't know if it's a good idea that you come.
I need to see him.
I was really afraid. You're just thinking, okay, we found him, but we don't know what we've found yet. And you imagining all sorts of horrors.
And then I heard these footfall. I can't describe. Of course, I knew what footfalls those were. And among them was Peter. And I suddenly looked and I couldn't believe it, that was him. I couldn't even speak to anybody. And people were just saying, what happened? And I just had to say, wing, stall. And that's all I could say.
It was really overwhelming. He'd survived. And it was sort of affirmation of my belief in him.
The feeling that I wasn't going to die was just indescribable. I'd fought this and I'd won.
And somebody came up, I hadn't got a clue who it was. Someone put their hand on my shoulder and said, "You're in safe hands now."
Since the accident, Greg has undergone more than 100 operations to save his legs. Through grit and sheer willpower, he has learnt to walk again.
Of course, you don't go through something like this without there being change in who you are. I always treated life every day as precious, but it's even more precious now. I still am dreaming of that day when I go back to Africa, back to the smells, back to the sunrises, the sunsets, and most importantly, the painted dogs and wildlife conservation.
Greg has indeed returned to his beloved dogs. He continues his conservation work alongside Peter and has never flown an ultralight plane again.
Dehydration.